Most of you have seen the clusterfuck of a press conference between Trump and Zelensky. Well, if somehow you haven't, here's a snippet.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't play cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should.
While some people blame Trump for the shit show, others blame Zelensky. But to me, I think the real culprit is JD Vance, and I'll tell you why. JD Vance is suffering from what you might call the zeal of a convert. This is a situation where a new convert is always more radical than people that have been practicing the said religion or tradition for a long time or from birth. JD Vance knows that Trump is uncouth, vulgar, boorish, tactless, and he always tries to outdo Trump.
With respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict. Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
You can see this earlier when he scolded European leaders in Europe.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes.
You can also see it when he tried to embarrass the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, during a press conference.
Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
This one didn't degenerate into an embarrassing shouting match because Keir Starmer, being a more experienced politician, was able to handle the situation and de-escalate what would have been another viral moment.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
JD Vance doesn't understand that when you have a tactless, rude, and crude partner, the best approach is to appear to be the opposite of your partner. It works all the time. It's the classic good cop, bad cop tactics. It works in interrogation. It works in negotiation. It even works in families between a husband and a wife when dealing with the kids. By trying to be more Catholic than the Pope, JD Vance escalated what was already a bad situation into a nightmare. His only job in that position, in that particular situation, was to try and de-escalate the situation. And he didn't do that. He worsened the situation. He made the situation unattainable, thereby jeopardizing the whole negotiation. Also, another thing I would like to mention is that I've seen online some people saying that Zelensky was so nervous of meeting Trump in the beginning when he arrived and shook hands with Trump. You telling me Zelensky is nervous of meeting Trump? This is a guy that stayed in Kyiv when the Russian army landed in Antonov Airport. Antonov Airport is 10 kilometers from Kyiv. Zelensky was offered the opportunity to fly out of Ukraine, and he stayed in Kyiv. The Russians were 10 kilometers away. Everyone was so sure that Kyiv was going to fall, but Zelensky stayed in Kyiv. 99% of presidents or head of states in the world right now would have left Kyiv if given that opportunity. You can see this in Bashar al-Assad, how he flew to Russia when the rebels were closing in, but Zelensky stayed in Kyiv. We are actually still talking about Ukraine today because Zelensky stayed in Kyiv. If Zelensky left Kyiv, Ukraine would have fallen completely. This is a guy you're trying to tell me is nervous of meeting Trump. Somehow he's not nervous of being captured by Trump's boss, Putin, but he's nervous of shaking hands with Trump in a peacetime situation. Anyways, back to what I was saying originally. The situation happening to Ukraine right now must be a lesson to other European countries, to other American allies like South Korea, Japan. Never ever delegate the defense of your country to another country. Never delegate the defense of your country to a third-party country.